How'd that feel?
It was great, man. Good dub, man. Especially against the whole team I played for. That was great.
Ryan Rollins, 4 threes, that's it! Oh, nailed in the coffin!
It looked to me like fatigue, mental, physical fatigue. It did not look like our team out there.
I think you can put Ryan on anyone.
I mean, you're coming to the arena thinking the team's starting on the video, that's what you prepare for. But like I said, the NBA players require the Giannis is out there enough.
One of our star players is down. I'm not saying they don't got nothing to lose, but it makes everybody play at a whole nother level. So, part of the NBA.
They just weren't good. They weren't clean. Confusion.
A lot of confusion out there.
They were small, so we went to an all switching coverage and lineup, and we'll have to watch the tape, but I didn't feel like we did a great job there.
I think there's a real chance Adam Silver hates Golden State.
So, you just finished watching the game, and the Warriors didn't win. Not only that, they lost to a team that didn't even have its superstar player. The Warriors were clearly the overwhelming favorites, but yet somehow fell victim to a team they had no business losing to. What happened? Let me introduce you to the trap game. A trap game in its simplest definition is a game where a team is at risk of losing to a weaker opponent. While there could be many different reasons for the risk, the name of the game is still the same. What happened to the Warriors is a combination of different aspects of a trap game, and to make matters worse, it happened in one of the worst possible ways. A little over 3 years ago, a YouTube video surfaced about this young prospect and how it was baffling that such a talented player wasn't selected until the middle of the second round. That player was Ryan Rollins. The team that selected him, the Golden State Warriors. Between draft night in June of 2022 and October 29th of 2025, what happened was the most improbable result of a full circle moment. The young guard that the Warriors sacrificed to move on from another talented guard came back in the ultimate trap game, walked Golden State from start to finish, and threw the dagger that ended the Warriors' night with one of the most disappointing losses of the season. How? Well, get ready. You're about to get Imagine game planning against one opponent and then finding out it's a completely different opposition on the floor at the very last minute. That's exactly what happened to the Golden State Warriors when they matched up against the Milwaukee Bucks. With only a few minutes before game time, Giannis was ruled out of the game with a knee injury. Curiously, this is the first game that Giannis has missed this season and the first time he's missed a game with a knee injury in almost 3 years, the last time being April of 2023. After averaging 36 points per game in 33 minutes, this was likely a rest game for the Milwaukee superstar. The Bucks were also missing Kevin Porter Jr., but he's been out after playing only 9 minutes of the first Bucks game this season, so no surprise there. So what did the Bucks have in store for the Warriors? A 23-year-old point guard who the Bucks claimed off waivers 2 years ago. How did a player the Bucks grabbed off waivers drop 32 points and lead a mediocre team to a win against a contender? And who's Ryan Rollins? For who Rollins was before he came into the league and who he was as a prospect, check out this video via the link in the top right of your screen. His story since then has been interesting. After being selected in the second round by the Warriors, Rollins failed to get much in the way of playing time, sitting at the end of the bench, playing a total of 12 games and averaging 2 points in just 5 minutes. At just 20 years old, he was still a very young player, and though he was talented, the idea behind Rollins was for the post-Steph Curry era, the two timelines. Unfortunately, the incident between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole caused a rift between the young players and the vets. He, along with Patrick Baldwin Jr., aka PBJ, were shipped out to the Washington Wizards in the Jordan Poole for Chris Paul trade. A trade that could eventually make the Paul George for SGA trade look like a bargain a couple of years down the line at this point. But something happened to Rollins while he was with the Wizards. He was arrested by local law enforcement. Before I continue, I wanted to make a plea to you guys about something that happened recently. The path of Hurricane Melissa went directly through my hometown when it made landfall. While I've lived in the US for most of my life, I spent the first 15 years in this very small town that I still visit often. It has now been left devastated and reduced to rubble. Many are dead, and those who aren't are struggling to get aid and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. Both my primary/elementary schools were destroyed. My old high school was also destroyed. My aunt's home was badly damaged, is currently without a roof, and everything inside the house was destroyed, including furniture, goods, food, and other supplies. I stayed with her during last year's Hurricane Beryl, and while the damage from that storm was significant, it didn't cause anywhere near the damage of Melissa. She supported me in making my content while I was there, so if you've been around for more than a year, you've likely seen videos I've made while in that very house you're looking at. She's currently without clothes, shoes, food, or shelter, and she's scared. My goal is to help rebuild what she's lost and, if possible, help to rebuild and restore some semblance of normalcy to life in this tiny, close-knit community. I can only do that with your help, so I'm asking for you guys to support this disaster relief in any way you can. I've started a GoFundMe and the link is posted in the description below. Damage estimates for the entire country range between $5 billion and $16 billion in USD. Please take a few minutes to give something. Anything helps. But if you can manage to skip one small expense in support of the people going through this disaster, it will be sincerely appreciated. Thank you. Back in January of 2024, after playing only 10 games with the team, the Washington Wizards announced they were waiving Ryan Rollins. The move was suspicious as he had started playing really well for the team, averaging 4 points in a little over 6 minutes while hitting 67% of his threes and 52% from the field. A little over a week later, it was revealed that Rollins had been arrested for 7 counts of petty larceny, stealing candles, personal items, groceries, etc. His target? His target. Yeah, that's what he thought. Turns out he was just getting practice off the court, in the court. Rollins is currently tied with Trey Jones for second place in total number of steals this season. Fortunately for Rollins, however, 6 of the charges were dropped. He pled guilty to 1 count of petty larceny and received a suspended 30-day sentence along with 6 months of probation. He successfully completed the probation, which expunged his record, so he's now clean. The Bucks couldn't wait, however, and snatched him up from his probation officer and had him in 3 games before the end of the season. They got Dame Lillard shortly after. However, Dame's inability to stay healthy led to the rise of Ryan Rollins. Rollins slowly made his way with the Bucks, starting 19 games the following season while playing in a total of 56. He showed flashes of brilliance, scoring 20+ points in multiple games last season, as well as a 14-point, 10 assist and 4 steals performance in a win over the New Orleans Pelicans. This season, he became the Bucks' starting point guard, averaging almost 19 points, 5 assists, and 2.4 steals, while shooting 53% from the field and 44% from deep on high volume. We're talking off the dribble step backs, not catch and shoot threes. His shot is legit, despite him being mostly a mid-range shooter when he was drafted. This was how he punished the Warriors. Despite his come up with the Bucks, the Warriors never really planned for Rollins. Like I said, Giannis was a late-minute scratch, so instead of running their offense through him dominating the paint, they did just the opposite and came with an unscouted player attacking from the perimeter. There's no denying that the Warriors presented a more talented roster, so despite the change, they still should have come out on top. But they didn't. First things first. Doc Rivers knows that Coach Kerr has a different lineup depending on matchups. Everyone knows this. Once the Warriors decided their starting lineup, Rivers made the adjustment to leave Giannis out of the matchup. Now you don't leave your superstar out to gain an advantage to win specifically. Rivers just felt they had just as much of a chance to win with or without Giannis, specifically because of the Warriors' game planning and the fact that Giannis might need some rest. For him, there was more value in resting Giannis in a game they figured they'd likely lose if he wasn't 100%. Yes, he just came off a 33-point, 36-point game against the Wizards, and had it been the Wizards again, best believe Giannis would have been active. This is a part of the gaming of the NBA. From the jump, however, Ryan Rollins was a problem. He hit his first 2 shots. First, he drives to the hole and makes a layup. The next possession, hit a 27-foot 3-point jumper without hesitation. He's immediately established he's a 3-level scoring threat. His size at 6'3", 180 pounds makes him very mobile, and with a quick first step, was a bit tough on the Warriors' POA to start the game. He finished with 32 points and 8 assists to lead the Bucks in both categories, but it's not just his offense that matters. Rollins ended the night with no steals and no blocks. While guarding Steph, Curry still made 4 of 8 from the field with 3 of 4 from distance. Despite these numbers, he still made things tough for Curry. Great offense always beats good defense, however. Now you know who Ryan Rollins is. What other aspects of this matchup made this a trap game?
Golden State is the one that I really vacillated on whether they're an actual contender or a possible contender. And here's why I made them possible contender. I think there's a real chance Adam Silver hates Golden State because I can't think of another explanation when I look at the schedule. 17 days, they have 10 games and they're basically all in different locations. That's a you from the NBA schedule.
Up to this point, the Warriors have had the toughest schedule in the league, and it's not even close. Not only that, the upcoming schedule intends to be absolutely ruthless. The current stretch that began with the Bucks game has 10 of 12 games on the road, with the team flying all across the country to different locations, from Indiana to Phoenix to Sacramento to Denver, back to Indiana, and it just keeps on going. Coupled with multiple back-to-back games against some of the toughest teams in the league, the Warriors season is being heavily front-loaded, and despite this, have the 4th best record in the Western Conference. But let's not stop there. This requires some context. What about the teams ahead of the Warriors? The number 1 ranked Thunder, for example, have the 5th easiest schedule on the season. The number 2 ranked Spurs have had the 2nd easiest schedule. The Denver Nuggets have the 3rd easiest schedule. All 3 teams ahead of Golden State in the West have had a cakewalk up to this point, relatively speaking. Then the Dubs run into a team that switched up at the last minute after game planning. Like Draymond said, these guys are all NBA players at the end of the day, and given the opportunity, they will make their presence felt. The last point I will touch on, however, is the in-game adjustments. Obviously, Jonathan Kuminga was tasked with guarding Rollins. The first 2 possessions he was automatic, but after that, JK started taking the assignment a bit more seriously. Doc Rivers saw this as a problem and began screening every single play in order to get Jonathan Kuminga off Rollins. These switches worked perfectly as Rollins went 4 of 4 on both Draymond and Jimmy Butler. With JK, he went 3 of 5, but in the entire time the two were matched up, Rollins found it much more difficult to get a shot off. 1 shot per minute when guarded by Kuminga, but 4 shots in the minute he was guarded by Green, and 4 shots in the 2 minutes he was guarded by Butler. With that quick first step, it was easier for him to get open while being defended by older wing players. Kerr didn't really have any adjustments for the matchup, and considering Rollins' size, the Warriors' best chance would have been a defensive guard like Melton. Unfortunately, Melton isn't healthy and unable to help, but that would have been his assignment. Pods was another player that did well against Rollins, forcing Rollins' only turnover on the night. He also never shot the ball while being guarded by Pods, so this could be a potential counter for the Warriors when they face the Bucks again at Chase Center. This game worked out great for the Bucks as now Giannis has a rest game, giving them 2 wins on the night. Eventually, the Warriors' schedule will become easier and less crowded, setting them up for a potential run later on in the season. So if you were worried about the Warriors, hopefully this gave you some insight and peace of mind. Let me know if you guys have any major concerns or thoughts on the Warriors game against the Bucks. How do you feel about Ryan Rollins and the Warriors giving him up 2 years ago? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish.